Hello Zimbabweans, welcome back to Mass Vibe channel, Pure Mathematics A level with Say John. Today guys, we're moving on to functions, right? So function, the definition of a function. Function is a rule which maps a single number to another single number, right? For example, given f of x is equals to x squared, right? So f of 1 is equals to 1. So the rule iriko kuma functions guys. Given a function in terms of x, you can f of 1, you can say 1 pana x, 1 pana x. So that left hand side and the left hand side, the right hand side will balance. Don't hear anybody for my functions. So f of 1 is a 1 is a 1. F of 1 is equals to 1. F of 2 is equals to 2 squared, which is 4. F of 3 squared, which is 9. Right? Though the rule nobody go my functions. So when x is equals to 1, y is equals to 1. When x is equals to 2, y is equals to, then when x is equals to the truth, whatever is like kuno. Right? So my values are triple substitute for x. Anika, do what near the domain. Which is not a number functions. My values are x, kaitara is a domain. Notice my values of x. Then my values are also Buddha, my values are y and I Buddha at the output. Do you know the core domain can I put the range, right? So can I draw my caves, start a cave sketching, Mark find the range in the graph, not just the y axis, because my values are y, do are not per range. Then my values are x at no substitute at do are not per domain, right? Okay, so to find out composite function, right? So composite functions, when two functions are combined together, we have composite functions, right? Right? So composite function, we are combining functions together, right? We are given f of x is equals to x squared, g of x is equals to 3x plus 1. Now we want to combine f of x and g of x, my composite functions, right? So panabo, you are required to find f g of x and g f of x. So I'm not just saying, how do you do that, guys? Saka, is it not f g of x? Is I'm finding f open bracket, g of x. Right? But now which Jamesa, but g of x my brackets. This guys, which is equal to f. So we know g of x. We want to replace g of x. We know g of x to be 3x plus 1. So open bracket pana g of x, then we put 3x plus 1, right? So now we simplify this to this. So now we are it's like we are given f of 3x plus 1, right? So f of x is equals to x squared. Now we find f of 3x plus 1. So I'm going to level f of x is equals to 3x squared plus 4. Also find f of 1, right? Apachita taita panga paina x up. In this case, power 3x plus 1. So it is really equal statement really true. Because 3x plus 1 pana x, kuno 3x plus 1 pana x, put equation really balance, which is equals to x 3x plus 1 squared, right? So 3x plus 1 squared. So I'm finding put f g of x. So now I'm going to f g of x is equals to no one will expand as well, but 3x plus 1 squared. Simple, right? So g f of x here simple. G f of x is equals to g open bracket f of x, right? So also we know f of x. We are given f of x. We know it. So which is equals to g f of x in the end. F of x is x squared, right? So it's like now we are given the function g of x, and we are required to find g of x squared. Saka zangoitika kuti g of x watatakapiwa panapa panga paina x now paiswa x squared. So panga paina x paiswa x squared. So kuti zvibalance equation redu rive true. Katika ku left hand side tikasa x squared, apa tofana zachi x squared. Saka which is equals to 3 Pana x is x because kunoku ta substitute na x squared, so kunoku pana substitute on x squared, so that our equation will remain true. X squared plus 1, right? So this is g f of x. So g f of x is equals to 3x squared plus 1. Simple. Do kucombine my function. This is the row of composite of functions, right? So second example, right? So now the second example, given f of x is equals to this and g of x is equals to this, we are going to find g f of x and f g of x. Now g f of x is equals to g f of x, which is equals to g f of x ndiani pana f of x is this one, right? So akuti zvisakunetse panapa because panapa tatikana kana ukaona tatwa g f of x 3x over x plus 2 ndizoka unongoenda muna g of x panga paina x woisa chi this panga paina x pakada patitoza this andika ukatasa chachinja apa ndichongoti panga paina x papane chichi saka panga paina x nofana kuisa ichi saka kuti sanetsa ukaona panapa chekupedzisira wabva pa stage ukaenda pa stage e chekupedzisira ichi chikange china chichi wakutongonyera g of x paside wakutongoti g of x is equals to 2x plus 5 kuti zvive simple pauri andika then ukaona apa pavana 3x plus 2 which is equals to andika zvaunongoita ndezvekuti panga paina x unongopaisa ka round like this and this is 2x plus 5 so unongoya panapa udo pese pana x muna g of x upaisa seko right saka this inenge kunyorwa sei inenge kunzi pese pana x apa wakuisa this thing saka which is equals to 2 open bracket 3x over x plus 2 plus 5, right? Your solution kubva apa. Saka now azvitetonezi which is equals to 2 3x over x plus 2 plus 5. Now takuita panenge yacho fg of x, fg of x is equals to fg of x, which is equals to fg of x ndiani, g of x ndiani to 2x plus 5, right? So kana wasvika pastage yekupedzisira iyi ukatasira pakona pana f pekutanga paina f unongoenda unotora chi f of x yako unoti f of x is equals to wonyera sezvairi 3x over x plus 2 obva watoti pese pana x obva wangodai so saka nawa kunyora answer yako panapa pakaisa pese pane seko pese pana x pane seko wakungoreplacea nechichi chiri bracket ichi saka unenge wakutongoti is equals to wotonyora this function sezvariri but pana x unenge wakaisa zviri mubracket saka which is 3 open bracket 2x plus 5 over pana x which is 2x plus 5 2x plus 5 plus 2 over wa simplify up which is equals to simplify up inobva ita 6x plus 15 over right panapa inobva ita 2x plus 7, right? Simple. Saka this is fg of x. Saka ndozva unokwanisa kungoita zvako but kana uri munhu wakungoonera ukapiwa f of 2x plus 5 unongoona kuti chachinja na f of x wandakapiwa ndechekuti panga paina x pana f of x now papana x na 2x plus 5 saka kune rimwe side unofanira kuisa kuti 2x plus 5 pese pana x but ikazvikunesa kukasira kuona unokwanisa kutanga wanyora f of x wati down obva wakomberedza pese pana x wakuzongosubstituta pese pane seko uchisa zviri mubracket panapa right but unotanga watosa this number inenge panapa this number iri panapa tuzonyora function racho this number iri panapa f wotora f wonyora f racho simple right. So one-to-one functions, we have a one-to-one function. In my one-to-one functions, there are two functions. Atukwasa kuchaka inverse. One-to-one functions, tunakwasa kuchaka inverse of one-to-one functions. So tunakwasa kuona say, this is one-to-one function. The horizontal line test, right? If a function is said to be one-to-one function, if horizontal line cut the graph of f only once, i.e. for each value of x, there is only one corresponding value of y. Which means for each value we substitute a value of x, we have to get only one corresponding value of y. You are taking the one-to-one function, and you can find the inverse of such functions, right? Okay, so I'll take my examples. Right, another test to show this function is a one-to-one a function or not. F of x is equal to the power x. No show us say kana function iri one to one function, f of x1 should be equal to f of x2, which means ukaisa x1 apa ukaisa x2 apa ukasimplify unofana kuwana zvakaenzana. So f of x1 is equal to f of x2. F of x1 tiwana sei unongoisa x1 pana x, e to the power x1 is equal to e to the power x2. X1 is equal to x2 kasama natural logarithms ukashandisa the base theorem. So x1 is equal to x2. Saka this is a one to one function, right? Saka ukashandisa this method kuprove kuti one to one function ufana kushandisa futi the graphical method, the horizontal line test. Ukadraw graph ra e to the power x kana mukazodama curve sketching transformation graph ra e to the power x rinenge rakadai so like this, e to the power x. Saka horizontal line test unodraw any horizontal line raunongoda, any horizontal line. Choda draw horizontal line raungodai so nepapa, choda draw nepapa, choda draw nepa wangodraw napo handiti. So if the horizontal line cuts the graph once, for example rakata paka 1 ukadraw rimwe panapa ndokukata paka 1, ukadraw rimwe panapa ndokukata paka 1, right? Unati ma horizontal line is ma horizontal line ma line ari parallel to the x-axis, the horizontal line. So ma horizontal line edu ari kukata the graph ka 1. So kwa horizontal line tikata graph ka 1, which means f of x is equal to e to the power x is a one to one function, right? Right. So guys, we have another graph panel. F of x is equal to x squared, right? To test it is a one to one function, we have two methods, the horizontal line and this method. F of x1 and f of x2 should be the same. So f of x1 do you want to say this x1 up, x1 squared is equal, should be equal to x2 squared, right? Kubisa squared you know this a square root to side. So x1 is equal to plus or minus x2, right? So this implies that x1 is equal to x2 or x1 is equal to minus x2, man, right? I'm going to pass man, because panapatati f of x1 should be equal to f of x2, but now x1 is equal to minus x2 asina kunzana. Now it means an image negative. So f of x is not a one to one function. So it's also katochaka inverse. Tochaka inverse of a one to one function, not IASIM one to one function. So this is x squared, right? So to prove out this is that but sure this is not a one to one function. We have to use a horizontal line test. So horizontal line test, we draw any horizontal line, any line parallel to the x-axis. Katoka draw chemne pana. Yes, on the line ready to draw it. Look at the graph, look at two. Look at the panap. The panap. Saka, this is not a one-to-one function because the look need the horizontal line two times. So, can I really one-to-one function, the horizontal line should cut the graph only once. So that for each and every value of x, we have one corresponding value of y, right? Right. So, now we want to find the inverse of one-to-one functions. Inverse. How to find the inverse? To find the inverse, we make use of the following steps. So step 1, these are the steps that I'm showing so that page my inverse. Check my inverse. My functions are so equate the given function to y. Simple. Apart from that, equate now y. Equate function to y, but relate this function to y as a so the step 2, make x the subject of the formula. You can make step book 3 and book 2. I mean, then step 3, replace y by x. Substitution. Y wakuisa x apana nantadza substitution apana nantadza subject formula apana nantadza kuequate zviri. So takutogona inverse tisati tanga kuweka. All right, examples. Okay, so inverse of algebraic functions. Toyaka nema algebraic tinozoenda kune ma logarithms nezvinhu zvakawanda. So of algebraic function, find f to the negative value of x is equal to find the inverse. Those are inverse kudai. So given f of x is equal to this, anika when x is equal x is not equal to 0. This is the domain for the question. If x is not equal to 0, x is 0 times 2. Then 0 times 2 is 0. Then any number divided by 0, error, undefined. Saka unofana kunyora domain. Domain yako iri defined kana zvakadi. Saka yawo iri defined kana x asina kuenzana na 0. Right? So you kana upedza kuweka inverse yako, don't forget to state the domain. Unosiya state the domain papo. Right? Atengeta kuweka zviri tapedza kuweka metsi yedu. Right? So let us say, as equate to y is equals to, so let y is equals to the function. Apart from nakatadza kuequate. Then you make x subject formula, cross multiply, you can make x subject formula known as x is equals to this one, and you can make subject formula step by step because most gonna. Then you pan up f inverse of x now is equals to. Could you know what f of x you know? Then you know y. Could f of x is not the function in terms of x. So ukati function iri in terms of x wakunyora zvinhu zvina y hazvicha make sense. So kuti rive in terms of x ndo pane last step iya yakaichiti replace y by x so that the function will be f to the negative 1 of x. The function of x inofanira kunge iri in terms of x, so hakusa x panga paina y, saka this is the inverse. So haufaniri kungosiya metse yako yakadai so iri defined kana zvakadii. This knows that the denominator redu harifanira kuita 0, rikangoita 0 metse yedu iri undefined, kwangobaya 1 over 0, it's error. So panapa you just equate this denominator to 0, ukaikweta this zvataita kuma inequalities kuya kana makaona video rema inequalities ukaikweta to 0 kona cv x is equals to 3 over 2. So ukangoisa x ari 3 over 2 panapa 2 times 3 over 2 minus 3 unoona 0. So when x is equals to 3 over 2 metse yedu iri undefined. So kuti ive defined x should not be equal to 3 over 2. This is your domain. Saka domain rinoseta kuti metse yako iri valid kana kuti iri defined kana x akadii ndizoka ndo pataitaura paya tichiti x values inopa madomain, then katotaura zverange manje ukanzonzi find the range inotaura mavalues ay, saka tichazotaura zverange later. Okay, so takuenda pama-inverse of exponential functions. These are exponential functions. So let y is equals to, then to make exact the formula we have to introduce my natural logarithms. So we can introduce my natural logarithms to discover ln y is equals to 2x. So we can make exact the formula x is equals to 1 over 2 ln y. So f to the negative 1 of x inverse in terms of x now. So when y takusa x, this makes sense, right? So this is our inverse, but our c inverse is not domain, right? Knows that my natural logarithms. We have ln 0, we don't have ln negative. Ukabaya kuti ln 0 pa calculator inoti error. Ukati ln negative 4 negative any number inoti error. So any number iri panapa should be greater than 0 kuti metse really defined. So x should be greater than 0. This is your domain, right? Simple, right? Pane makwestion angu yakadai so find the domain of f of x given that f of x is equals to ln x minus 2. Kungotsira domain akunetse unofana kuzati panapa pamberi pa ln panapa panofana kunge pari greater than 0 chero zodi apafana kuinzana na 0, panofana kunge pari greater than 0. So unofana kungoequata this, unofana kungonyora this over it should be greater than 0. So unofana kungoequate x minus 2 greater than 0. Right, those are those zeros. Every term unoyapa should be greater than 0. So now you find the range of x. So x is greater than 2. This is your domain. If x is greater than 2, metse yako inomake sense. X akangoenzana na 2 panapa 2 minus 2 0 ln 0 hakuna zvakadaro. X akaita 4 minus 2 is 2 ln 2 zvomake sense. Then x akangoita less than 2 manje ukaisa minus 1 panapa kana ukaisa any number is less than 2, for example 1 ukaisa 1 panapa 1 minus 2 is minus 1 ln minus 1 error. So any number is less than 2 has make sense. Any number yakaenzana na 2 has make sense. So this is your domain, right? Inverse of quadratic functions. So pama steps eri paipa pama quadratic function apana chinongochinja let be equal to y, then takucomplete square man. In order to make x subject to formula you complete the square. So complete square unosvika apa ndokamukana video redu remasiva recompleting the square unodzidza how to complete the square, then unobva usvika apa, then 4 minus 4 kana kuseri kunobva plus 4, then ubvisa square root takuisa square root panapa x minus 2 is equals then minus 2 obva enda kuseri like. So x is equals to 2 plus root y plus 4. Saka taku replace y by x, the last step. So f to the negative 1 of x called inverse of x is equals to 2 plus this. But don't forget to state the domain. First of all, state the domain, right? So domain raku panapa ndiani? This is mukati me root muno. In this case manje, root 0 iriko. Square root of 0 is 0 because 0 is a perfect square. But square root of a negative number, ukabaya calculator, no bad error. So we don't have a negative number no, and we can have a 0 no. Saka this term which is very valid should be greater or equal to 0. So every term unofana kuya mukati should be normal around the domain. So kuti x plus 4 should be greater or equal to 0 kuti metse yedu is valid. Kuti pana pakaita 0 zvinomake sense, pakaita any number is greater than 0 zvinomake futi sense. So x is greater or equal to minus 4 ndo domain rine. Ukaisa any value ukaisa minus 4 panapa minus 4 plus 4 0. Ukaisa any number is greater than minus 4, for example 5 plus 4 zvinomake sense. But ukaisa number is less than minus 4 much, for example minus 5 plus 4 inobva minus 1, square root of minus 1 tsana hakuna midzi yakadaro. Okay, right? So inverse of logarithmic functions masteps edu ndiwayo hambuchinje ndosaka mntu maths dzakapusa f of x is equal to ln 2x minus 3 right pano kapiwa domain repaquestion x is greater than 3 over 2 because pana panofana mungamagona kutsvaka domain then let y is equal to this function then kumeka x into formula get rid of the ln so we introduce the exponential takazvita kuma logarithms mubva madzokera back munoona so panapa e to the power x is equal to 2x minus 3 ukasimplify panapa right so kumeka x into formula we divide by 2 so x is equal to e to the y plus 3 over 2 right so f to the negative 1 of x cannot the inverse of x is equal to e to the x plus 3 over 2 so this is the inverse right so given the inverse akataziriri what is the domain pamusoro pa e manje any number inokwanisa kuisika pamusoro pa e to the power 7 e to the power minus 4 e to the power 100 e to the power any number unokwanisa kuisa apa hapana inoramba hapana kuti number ukaisa apa inoita error e to the power 0 ndi 1 so all values of x anodiwa so domain rako rinenge ri x is element of real numbers right x is element of real numbers all real numbers aripo apa means rinenge chiri valid any number yawangoisa as long as iri real number right so these are the way yatinotsvaka inverse yemalogarithmic functions right so guys takuenda parange takuda nopedzisa mafunctions aya manje hai atipedzise mafunctions guys munagiro nechiko range of functions find the range of f of x is equal to this one ndongata computer square this one saka pane maways 2 anokwanisa kutsvaka nawo range tapera ndo mavalues epa y andika domain taitara nyaya zvepa x domain x now tautasa the y values ndizvere kuti graph redu rinorange kubva papi kusvika papi ndo yatiri kuti range right so given this function kuti unokwanisa kutsvaka inverse andika kauda kutsvaka range of the question given this is a question unoda kutsvaka range yequestion iyi you can find the inverse ukatsvaka inverse this question ukatsvaka domain reinverse is the range of the question every question yawakapiwa ukatsvaka inverse yequestion unobva ukatsvaka inverse ipapa unobva wana chi unobva wana inverse ubva watsvaka domain reinverse saka ukatsvaka domain reinverse ndo range yequestion saka question yedu iyi ine range iyi but range wayawana sei watanga watsvaka chi range inverse first so inverse of the question watsvaka domain reinverse unobva wana range of the question kana kuti unokwanisa kushandisa graphical method after computer square panapa then woita curve sketching yatakadzidza kuma quadratic parabola kuya unogona kudzokera parabola unotarisa kuti taita sei then this is the minimum turning point 2 na minus 4 then ubva wadraw graph rako saka kuri kunzi graph redu riri kurenja kubva papi kusvika papi riri kurenja kubva panapa zvichienda kumusoro kwatisa kuzasi kwedu uku hakuna graph so graph riri kutangira pana minus 4 zvichienda mudenga saka y ari kurenja y is greater or equal to minus 4 both pana minus 4 ndo pari kutangira saka sokuna kunge zvakaenzana nani na minus 4 saka greater or equal to minus 4 right kana kuti f of x this is f of x graph redu ndo f of x kana kuti y zvakangofanana so f of x is greater than or equal to minus 4 this is the range so unokwanisa kuskecha graph kutsvaka range kana kuti unokwanisa kungotsvaka inverse of the question then unotsvaka domain of the inverse saka the domain of the inverse is the range of the question simple right so takuinda pa range yema exponential like this saka kuti utsvake range this question yawakabvunzwa utsvaka range apa unokwanisa kutanga watsvaka inverse first ukatsvaka inverse unoona inverse yako iri ln x then the domain of the inverse ndi x is greater than 0 saka x greater than 0 is the range of this question ndo imwe method yaunokwanisa kushandisa simple then kana kudraw graph ra e to the x graph ra e to the x rakadai so haritachi the x axis panapa rinobva kuno kudai kana pana 1 then rinoramba richienda richiita sotikuda approach 0 but harinosvike pana 0 izvoka parinosvika kuna 0 value of x inenge yava infinity so hatiri kuti zvive infinity because yatiri kuti infinity ndo yamuri kuti undefined pa this level saka hatiri kuti zvive undefined saka x wedu graph redu harifani kuguma the x axis saka graph redu riri above 0 hariri above the x axis saka the range yegraph redu rikutangira panani pamusoro pa 0 harifani kusvika pana 0 so the graph f of x kwatitarisa is greater than 0 f of x is greater than 0 kana kuti y is greater than 0 so y is greater than 0 is the range andika so f of x panapa is greater than 0 then y greater than 0, right? Usazonyora domain rina x kuti x is greater than 0. Aiwa, domain rinonyorwa in terms of y kana kuti f of x, right? So, right. Pane nyaya yangu yandida kubatisa ya. Pane imwe nyaya mufana kuziva apa. Kuti panapa patiri kuti let y is equal to this, then tozoona value ya x. Taona value ya x mukatarisa apa katonyora answer yedu. Panga paina y tinozoisa value ya x. Tinozoisa x. Saka muna tiri kuinterchange ma values. Panga paina y tiri kuisa x. Saka even kuma graphs futi kana draw graph atimbonetsi graph re inverse. Ukapuwa this curve, you can find the inverse called draw the curve ye inverse. Unongo interchange ma values like my interchange ra ukaita pa ukatsvaka inverse. Because pa ukatsvaka inverse ukabvisa ma value ya y ukaisa x. Saka now kuno kana draw curve. Value yanga iri kwa y inobva yaita kwa x. Hapana chinongonetsa. So pana vanhu babaita uchi 1 over draw chi curve rako ralini nenge rakadini rakadayo. Right? Wango interchange ma values. All x values anobva angoita y values. All y values anobva aita x values. Which means tinenge tatova nema curve yedu 2 re inverse and the original. Saka this is the curve and inverse stato and the mirror line ndiro mirror line rimwe ndozongora kuti inverse. Right? So given equation rakaita so wakatiwa equation yakadai so equation of a line wakadziwa line yakadai sezvizvi then panapa kana pakanzi pana minus 2 panapa pana 3 ukada kudraw inverse ye this function harifani kumbokunetsa because paunotsvaka inverse unointerchange ma values. So value yanga iri kuno kuna y inobva yauya kuna x yoitani yoita 3, then value yanga iri kuno kuna x inobva yauya kuna y yobva yaita minus 2 obva rodraw chi line rako rakadi so rinenge rine mirror line pakati apa. So ndo zvaunoita kana uchitsvaka draw curve ikati inverse unongo interchange ma values anga ari kuna x anoenda kuna y anga ari kuna y anoenda kuna x obva watoona graph rako asitombonetse. Right? Pane question yakadai so it was a simple question, right? Yakadai so yakati yo f of x then f of negative f of this is inverse of x, right? Then this is g of x which is equal to x, right? Which means this is y is equal to x, the y is equal to x line. No bayati yo find got state the name that is given to the function g of x. So I can tell you this is f of x and this is the f negative 1 of x. You can this is the original function and this is the inverse, right? So I will find this y is equal to x line. Because the y is equal to x line no bisect out. So can I function inverse? So which means pana mirror line pana mirror line, which means zvinosangana zvichi chienda zvakadai so then mirror line then ipakati so. Saka this is the mirror line. Kona bvunzwa line rakada seriri. It runs mirror line, right? Then it obviously zonzi question you find the value of coordinates of A, coordinates of B and the coordinates of C. Izvo zvichafanira kunetsa manje because patakatsvaka inverse paya kuti tizowana patakatsvaka inverse taka interchange ma values. So ma values ose anga ari kuna y anobva auya kunani kuna b. Saka panobva pazokuita chi 3 na 0. Watopedza so kutsvaka ma coordinates epana b. Panapa patorina 3 na b apa. Then panapa ma coordinates ekwa y anobva ango interchange obva auya kunani ma coordinates a x. So panapa panobva paita minus 1.5 na 0. Minus 1.5 na 0 ma coordinates a. So wataona ma coordinates a b, wataona ma coordinates a a, chasara ma coordinates a c. Manje ma coordinates a c hanetsi. Nawo wavane ma coordinates apa, wavane ma coordinates apa. Saka this line iri tinaro y is equal to x titori naro. Saka pana panosangana ma line akawanda. Saka unoona kutsvaka equation of a line 1 iri line iri f to the negative 1 of x kana kutsvaka equation of a line iri. Obva wari solve simultaneously with this line. Unobva watsvaka point of intersection. Point of intersection ndo ma values a c. Saka izvo ndingafuki ndingakuikira simultaneous kutsvaka values of c. Munosana muchitsvaka mega. But ndo the logic behind kuti unofana kuziva sei nyaya interchange of values kana tatsvaka inverse. Paya patinochinja paya panongozochinja panga paina y tichisa x ndo panongochinjirawo ma values kuti tizongomachinja kuno ndo nyaya yakaitika iyoyo. Saka ndonga izva zvinetse zvimbori simple handika. Right. So in this case takapiwa function yakadai so musazota ndakutaura tinotsvaka range sei function these are the rational functions. My rational function is a graph rational function yakadai so graph rational function izvariri anika ra 1 over x, y is equals to 1 over x, right? So pana ndakapuwa x over x plus 1. Nongatara na kuti ma improper partial fraction chichi, this is an improper fraction. Saka kuti we solve ndanga wamboita zvima polynomials. Anika tinaro video rema polynomials unaona to divide say. Saka ka divide ndobva swika f of x is equals to 1 minus 1 over x plus 1, right? So this is the function redu asati takainvesa kuti toda kunotsvaka range apa. Unotsvaka range sei manje? Range ndeye kwa y. So ivalue ya ipi ya y yekuti tikaisa apa, graph redu rinobva raita undefined. Kwatasa panapa ukaisa y ari 1, ukaisa y ari 1 panapa. For example, 1 is equals to 1 minus 1 over x. Ndizoka ichi chinouya uku chienda uku. Saka inobva yaita 1 over x plus 1 panapa, plus 1 apa, which is equals to 1 minus 1, which is 0, right? So no one is. Then you got cross multiplier. Move 1 is equals to x plus 1 times 0 divided 0. Saka 1 is equals to 0. It does make sense that choices. Saka kuti zi make sense y wedu should not be equal to 1. Ukona y yakungoita 1 chete atina answer chawana chero value ya x atina value ya x yatinowana pakadaro. So y should not be equal to 1. So iyo ndo range yako iyoyo. Ndo range no range ya graph rako. Pamwe pese graph rako riri valid when y is equals to minus 100, y is equals to ani kuno riri valid. When y is equals to 2 zvichienda riri valid. But pana 1 pega ukongeza y apo ukongeza 1 apo acha make sense. So y is not equal to 1. Y is not equal to 1. Now the f of x is not equal to 1. This is our range. Kana ku draw a graph graphically mukatasa pana apa tine asymptote kana makazoita transformation of curves. Tichange tine video tichaita soon retransformation of curves. Pana pane translation yakaitika 1 into the negative x direction, so asymptote redu move over pana 0 roya pana minus 1. Then this is translation 1 unit in the positive y direction to pataka asymptote redu. Then ndo paitika reflection in negative reflection. Graph redu mairiziva rakadai so ndo bara reflect about the mirror line y axis ndo pachauya uku ndo pachauya uku. Saka pina zvakazomira zvakadai so pakaitika futi reflection. Saka kwazori draw anosara rakadaiwo ndizoka. Saka graph redu rino iri rinono approach 0, rinono approach 1. This asymptote riri pana 1 when y is equals to 1. This is y is equals to 1 line asymptote y is equals to 1. Saka rinono approach y is equals to 1 but rino touch y is equals to 1. Then this one rinono approach futi y is equals to 1 ndichibva kumusoro but rino touch the y is equals to 1 ndizoka. So kana risingano touch which means pese patinowana pa graph redu hapana graph redu parakaenzana na y is equals to 1. Hapana graph redu patinokata y is equals to 1. Saka ma values ukuroenda kusvika ku infinity, ukurodzera kusvika ku infinity. Saka range inotarisa graph ra y. Saka pano apa y is never equal to 1. Saka y is not equal to 1. But f of x, this is f of x graphic. F of x is not equal to 1. Saka ndo imwe way yaunokwanisa kutsvaka nayo range. Graphical method haibochinje, but kuno mukataza kuno in this case handambotsvaka inverse. Tangotarisa ipa pangorona kuti y yakakaita 1 kuna midzi dzakadaro ndizoka. Saka ndo zviri simple. Saka guys, I think nema functions we are done nema functions guys. Then tichaona nguva yekuti munobvunza ma question. Kana mabvunza ma question tombokuanswera ma question. Tichaita ma tutorials ekubvunza ma questions chete. Anika. So ndokutendai guys for watching my videos edu. Mwaname mchikotitsigira guys, mwaname mchisubscribe to our channel. Inda pa channel yedu ungondoti Mass Vibe. Ungonyora Mass Vibe pa YouTube. Unobva watoona ma videos edu, wo download, wo dzidza maths, woita A. Simple. Thank you guys.